Peeps. How's it going? I'm doing a mini coffee and chat sesh. It's not gonna be super long because I have to work, but you know, I'll do a little bit. I can do a little bit of chilling or whatever, but I don't even know. Typically in the mornings, I spend, well, lately I've been trying to get back into meditating and doing affirmations, but I really haven't been doing that recently a whole lot, as much as I should be. That's something I intend to do. Then I'll be able to take a break after this client and go outside for a little while. So that'll be good. You know, nothing too crazy. Yeah, I should have taken advantage of the time that I had to go outside when it wasn't as cold, because now it's just freezing. I'm gonna get a better set. I gotta get a better setup for during the day, but you know, I think that's kind of what's coming to mind, is that you don't. Oh man, my battery's kind of low. You don't have to be perfect. Because I was just thinking, like, you know, when you're helping people heal and wanting to give people input and advice to heal, it's sometimes you feel like you have to always be in this great place, you know what I mean? As a mental health therapist, as a social worker, as a tarot reader, as somebody that is typically the person that is in people's lives to help them, to help improve their lives. You know, there is always that, I don't want to say pressure for me, but importance to make sure I'm in a headspace that is conducive for that for other people. So that's why it's so important that I stay grounded and balanced mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And the reality of it is, come here, sweetie. I am a spiritual being, but I'm having a human experience. And so, therefore, nobody's going to be perfect all the time, you know, or any of the time, actually. So, I think the message for today is accepting yourself. Oh, shit. Accepting yourself where you're at today. Being okay with where you're at today, even if where you're at is not your best or not. Because I think sometimes people look at it like, man, I'm really struggling, I'm not where I want to be, or I'm not feeling how I want to feel, etc. And it's like, you know, one way to look at it is you're not there, but that gives you an opportunity to get there. And the fact that you recognize that, you know, kind of, I guess I'm just saying that you don't always have to be top notch. You know, it's just not possible. Sometimes I go into sessions with clients, and I'm trying to think, like a couple weeks ago, I went into a session with the client who I've been seeing for probably a little over 3 years. And So I've built very good rapport with her. So it's a little bit more difficult to do that with clients that you haven't been seeing as long, like be candid with them and straight up, like, yeah, my bad. Like, because I straight up had to tell my client because she's known me long enough to where I'm pretty, for the most part, what you see is what you get. I'm gonna be the same way when you see me. I'm not gonna, I'm pretty consistent in baseline emotion when I see my clients, at least for sure. So it's not typical that I'm kind of like all over the place or whatever. Sometimes I'm a bit disconnected or whatever because I got my own shit going on. But this day in particular, I was just not on top of my game, and I just straight up told my client, like, you know what, I apologize. My bad. I just want to let you know I'm not in the greatest headspace today. And so if you notice that I'm not as present, or if you notice that there's something off with me, that's what's going on. Today is just not a, how do I word it? Because I don't word it like that. I basically just say, today, today I'm, I guess, not in as balanced of a headspace as I typically am, is what I will. And I don't typically tell people that, but if I've been seeing a client for like years and it's one of those days, or it's a day like that where I'm off my game, and I know that they will probably notice, or even just to put it out there, just so that they know that, hey, this person's safe and predictable and consistent, but also as humans, like, we all, like, you can't just stay the same. How do I put it? We're complex beings. So of course we're going to have emotions. Of course we're going to have things go on and things happen. But what makes a healthy person is how well you're able to adapt, for one. And I would say, I don't even think it's how balanced you're able to remain, but it's how you handle the emotions, basically. So even if you have super intense emotions, and you're bawling your eyes out and whatever, I'm not talking about in session with the client, I'm talking about in general in life. Anyway, point of this message today is to say that it's okay to be yourself and to not be the most self-actualized version of yourself every single day of your life. Yeah, that's the aim, to be the best version of ourselves, and we should always aim for excellence, as my dad would say. But you don't have to strive to be perfect, because that's never going to happen. And the other thing I thought of is, like, as a tarot reader and a healer and a therapist, is that it's actually important for people to see you be imperfect. It's important for them to see, oh, wow, okay, yeah, my therapist is like, not like unbalanced, that's not what I'm saying, but to see that nobody, even a therapist, has their off days. Even a tarot reader, or somebody who does this for a living, has days where they're not on top of their game, and that doesn't make a person any less of what they are. It just makes them human. And so basically, what I'm calling for everyone today is that finding acceptance within yourself that you are where you're at, and that's okay today. It doesn't mean you're going to be there forever. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It doesn't mean that you're a fuck up. We're all a work in progress. And it's such a corny saying. That is so corny, but it really is. It's very true. And I'm starting to realize this as I get older, that life, it really is like an adventure and a journey. And it's, obviously, we're not going to disregard traumatic things that happen to us and just say, woo, yeah, this is such an adventure. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about finding a way to make use of and utilize every experience that you have in life for your own growth and benefit. Now, I know some people will say, well, how the fuck can you say that about, like, horrendous things like, trafficking and, certain kinds of abuse and things like that. But what I would say with that is not in the moment. That's not an adventure, and that's not something that anybody should ever, 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 ever have to go through ever. But I will say that the part of the journey, the part that's the journey, the part that's the adventure, is as time goes on, as you heal from those traumas that were inflicted upon you and how you handle that. It's that whole saying of life isn't necessarily about what happens to you, it's about how you handle what happens to you. And that really is what it is. It's how you handle what happens to you. And it's also accepting that sometimes we don't handle it well, what happens to us, and that's okay. You don't have to be, like I said, on point all the time. And like I said too, it's important, especially within what I do, to show that human side of yourself, of just being able to relate and be real with your clients. And again, that's always like a difficult line that I ride, is like finding that balance between professionalism and also like essentially being someone's I was going to say confidant, I was going to say guardian angel. I don't know why those words are coming to mind, but yeah. So it's basically just about being yourself, even if that means not being this polished version of yourself. Because how do you think polished people get polished? Exactly with how I'm talking about. It's just the same thing where people talk about, diamonds are made under pressure, that type of thing, where it's like, it's not like an overnight process, but I guess the most important part of the message is just accepting yourself for who you are, where you're at right now. And that doesn't mean, especially if it's like unhealthy stuff that you're doing. I'm not saying that, just encourage yourself to keep doing unhealthy shit. No. But you've got to face reality and face where you're at and what you're dealt currently in order to evolve. Basically, you have to face the reality of who you are and where you're at now if you want to be different than that. And if you can't even face what you are now, then you can't become that polished version of yourself. So, I mean, it's a very important part of the process, is the beginning, basically creating awareness around the problem. I hope everybody is doing good. Feel free to say something in the chat if you can. I tried to drop the subscriber count down to like a week or two or something like that. I just do it to prevent trolls, really. Feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you have not, if this message rather resonates with you. But other than that, I hope everybody has a very peaceful day. And even if you don't, it's like, it reminds me of what this tarot reader I was watching yesterday said. Like, she was talking about meditating on energy, meditating on someone else's energy. And it's kind of the same thing with this, where it's like, if you don't have a peaceful day, take time to meditate on that and look at what's going on internally, being with what's going on internally, and allow yourself to just be that and feel that. And part of it is you've got to acknowledge those emotions, like looking yourself in the mirror and saying, hey, it's okay. It's okay to feel this way. This sucks. I'm in pain. This shit sucks, whatever. Or I'm not at peace. It sucks. Or if you are at peace, acknowledging that. So I'm not saying it that you're not going to have a good day, but Anyway, peeps, please drop a like I said, subscribe, don't just loiter on my shit. Just kidding. Actually, I'm not kidding, but hang on. Okay, people, sorry. When people don't like the message, that just lets me know it's trolls in here. Because real people who are actually receiving the message will typically do that. So it's either trolls or or it's creepy people that I don't want on my shit. So just know that I'm aware of that. Well, how's everybody doing? What's going on? What's everybody doing today? Feel free to say something in the chat. Drop a like. Do whatever. I was just talking about just finding a way to make peace with where you're at in your life, with who you're at this current moment, because I was thinking prior to this, I'm like, man, like, because I was thinking prior to this, like, what can I do? I'm not feeling the greatest. What can I do to feel a little bit better? And that's what made me think of this, is like, you know what? Sometimes part of the healing is not like always a coping skill of, oh, let me go meditate or let me go do affirmations to feel better. Sometimes the feeling better is being with how you're feeling currently and allowing yourself to be with where you're at right now until that passes, because that does pass over time. So thank you. I appreciate the like. I just wish I could get inside people's heads to understand like the thought process, because it kind of trips me up, because if nobody, I mean, I don't care. I keep talking. I don't really give a shit, but I give a little bit of a shit only because it's like nobody says anything in the chat, which maybe you can't because maybe the thing is on. I kind of create my own problem here, peeps, so don't even worry about it. But when there's no response, like nothing in the chat, it makes me wonder if the people on the thing are even real, because the people count goes up and down and up and down. Sometimes it goes from 0 to 2 to 0 to 1 to 0 to 3 to 0. It's weird. So it's kind of hard to tell whether anybody's even in here. That's why. So I appreciate that. Glad to know there's a real human in here. All right, y'all. One habit I'm going to work on breaking today is timeliness. So, I mean, not being on time. So I'm going to go be on time for my client, and I will see y'all later. The moral of the story and the message for today is love yourself and accept yourself for where you're at. You don't have to change where you're at. Sometimes you don't have to go and, do something to feel better. The feeling better sometimes is just being with where you're at right now, and acknowledging where you're at right now and being okay with that. Because there's a reason, So also sometimes diving deeper and trying to figure out, why is it that I feel the way I do right now about myself, and is that valid? And if it's valid, maybe I need to look at some of the decisions I've been making, and that's a part of healing and self-love too. It's like you care about yourself enough to recognize, yeah, you know what? I've done some things in life I don't feel good about. The only thing I can do is do other things, make better decisions in the future, and recognize where those things have gotten to me, and that in and of itself is progress. Here I am breaking my own boundary, peeps. I gotta